Well, hello, wealthy women. I am truly excited to introduce you to my next guest. She is amazing, and her journey towards, let's just say, all holistic health combined is truly magical. You're going to love listening to her story about why this became her passion, how she can help you. And then, of course, as you know, we're going to get into the success questions. And you might say, well, where am I right now? Well, one of the benefits I always like to ask women, why did they start their own businesses? Is it's about that freedom to travel. So you might notice my location's different. That's because I'm in California at the moment. And that's one of the better reasons of building your own business and calling your own shots and having your own freedom. And I'm sure Laurie, who I'm about to introduce you to, will probably confirm that the freedom to do your business as you like, where you want, how you want to do it is one of the biggest inspirations of creating your own business. So I'm going to pass over the camera so she can tell you all about her beautiful dream business and let her inspire you, because her journey is beautiful and amazing. And I just want you to remember, if you are wanting to start your own business or you're already doing it, just keep being inspired and keep moving forward and going for those dreams, and and just keep going for it. So let's get started. Laurie, go ahead and tell us all about you, your work, why you love it so much, and how you can help women and where they can find out more about you.
Yeah, sounds great. So, you were talking about freedom initially, and it's the reason that that means a lot to me, as I'm sure it does many of the listeners, is that I was in corporate for 10 years and it was sucking my soul dry. And not to say that corporate's bad, but for me, it wasn't the right match. So I kept asking myself, and this was like about 35 years ago, what am I supposed to do? I want to wake up and feel passionate, passion for what I do, like other people do. And so I just started reading all these books and doing all the little exercises in them. And I narrowed it down to health, but I didn't really know what that meant. So I worked in a health food restaurant, and then I managed health food, or not health food, health clubs for women, health workout places. And I just kept trying to get closer and closer. Chinese medicine was a surprise. I did not see that coming, and it was basically, soul directed, if you will. And I had to say yes to the invitation. And I can't even tell you how glad I am. I didn't even know that when I wanted to get out of corporate that I was looking for freedom, and that I was looking, and my freedom isn't it's I mean, I do love to travel, but it isn't so much for travel. It's just so that I can wake up and have my day be the way I want it to be, outside of, how do they call it? The man, being
Yeah,
outside of being under the pressure of someone else's
yeah.
thumb. And, that's what I enjoy. And I have that. And then what happens, I have found inside of that choice, is that I get to be creatively expressed, and I get to do the work I love, because I do love health. It is my mission. Not just health, but sacred health. Chinese medicine has taught me that qi, Chinese medicine uses the word qi. It's just a
For
Chinese
energy,
word
right?
for energy.
Yeah.
Exactly. Life
Hmm.
force. And,
Yes.
I have become masterful at managing my own life force and supporting other women, especially looking toward or in the second half of life, and they're struggling with either
Mm.
low energy or excess weight or inflammation, or some kind of a health concern that they are afraid of. And what I know is that life force is the master healer. And the other thing I know is that there are ways for us to cultivate it, our life force, right? Our energy, cultivate life force and energy, manage it, and eventually master it. Not only are there ways, it's what we're supposed to do with this life, because everything is energy, right? So how we manage our energy affects not only our health, it affects our mental landscape, our emotional landscape, our life, our relationships, our businesses. And if we really want to, draw in, summon wealth, and be a wealthy woman, we have got to learn how to manage our energy. So I love, and the other reason I'm really passionate about, well, not only just businesses, but the business that, the actual path I'm on in particular, and what I help women with, is that when we align with our life force, when we follow the wisdom, the guidance, and the intelligence of our life force, Yes, it helps our mind, body, and spirit and the life around us, but it also impacts the world. And
Mm,
every woman that I personally know, there's a frustration because what do we do? What are we supposed to do about all this stuff happening in the world, right? It's frustrating. And what I know, and this is how energy works, right? This is one of the things that energy has taught me, is that when we tend to our own garden, right? When we tend to our own healing, and when we amplify our own good qualities and, infuse that into our business and our, our abundance, and we thrive and prosper in those ways, it affects the whole. And the impacts of what we do just in our own world, it affects the
mm.
whole. And that alone is one of the main reasons I do what I do.
I love that. I really love the idea of, and I believe in it. Like energy is everything. And
Yeah,
I was just while you were speaking, we're getting a little off. We'll come back to like your programs and where people can reach you. But you
sure.
kind of made me think of something. Because I'm traveling right now. I met some old family friends, and we were speaking about relationships within our own families.
Ah,
And my friend was talking about her husband having, difficulties with his upbringing and his family, and he. And it's kind of about energy, like it could be anybody, but like when you get triggered, for
yes,
example,
yes, for
right?
sure. Yeah, it happens
And
all the time to
exactly.
everybody. Yeah.
And so his wife, who's my like dear friend from childhood, she has this she gets triggered and she wants to protect, and she does all the things that gets really emotionally affected by it. And him, even though it's his family, he kind of just tries to let it roll off the back and says it is what it is.
Hmm.
Both sides are right, and they're
Hmm.
different energy levels. However, I do know a number of people, and I'm asking your advice here because I think this would help a lot of us.
Yeah.
Um, when we get triggered, it doesn't matter what the subject is, but when it's typically a family member that is going to be part of our family for our whole
Yeah.
life, and we're
You
happy to
can't
have
escape it.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but they're yours, and we love them, and we're happy about it. But sometimes they can push the wrong buttons, and we
Yeah.
feel ourselves getting that energy that's going in a negative.
Yes.
Um, what would be your suggestion? Because what you're saying about keeping that positive energy, because our energy expands from us through to outside of us and affects the whole.
Yeah.
But we're all human and we have those moments, right? Where we're like, oh, we're like, you have to count to 10. Any good advice on this? Because this was a great subject that we were talking about yesterday, and
Yeah.
I would love to hear
Yeah. Yeah.
about.
And this is like jumping into the deep end of the pool, which is perfectly fine, right?
Yeah, that's how we do these interviews. And sometimes you just
Yeah.
get inspired and go in a different direction.
Yeah. I mean, obviously I know what you're asking. This is I'm being, splicing the words here. This is just semantics. I can tell you what I know to be true about energy, and whether it's advice or not, people will take that on their own, in their own way. So first of all, being in any relationship, including also being in a business, is like the fast track to spiritual growth. We should just know
Yes.
that. And our souls very clearly say before we incarnate into the bodies that we're in, there's an outline. It's not a destiny, it's not fate, it's not predetermined, but there's an outline. I know that being in a relationship with this kind of person is going to cause me to expand and to evolve my soul. Therefore,
Mhm,
I want to be placed around or near people like this. Do
mhm,
yeah.
mhm.
When we get triggered, it is a not first, it's the number one, it's a number one signal that we're disconnected from our higher self,
Okay.
because our higher self does not get triggered. Our higher self would say, and I heard this years ago, and I remember thinking, oh God, I could never do that. Not only could I never do it, I don't want to ever have to do it, but now it's different. That was, probably 25 years ago, which is when we get triggered, to look at it and say, oh, there's something here for me. There's a gold nugget here for me. So
Mhm.
especially when it's the same things, when something, similar things keep triggering us over and over, then that's where the gold is. So the very first thing is to connect with our higher self, which we're not practiced at, by the way, right?
Yeah.
So that's something that, that I train people in, right? Or teach people to do. So first is to connect to our higher self, drop into our body, see if
Mhm.
you can find out from your awareness where the energy is stuck. Usually it's, in the form of tension or a tangle, or
Mhm.
it might even be as much as a pain, right? And,
Yeah.
and then ask it. And now there might be time for this in the minute. There might not be time for this, right? So the very first thing you can do is just connect, drop in, and breathe. And if you don't
Breathe.
have time to do, if you don't have time to do the investigative work, you can do that
Yeah.
later, on your own in a journal or something like that. But here's what you're looking for. The gold is, why is this triggering me? What gift does this have for me?
Mhm,
What
mhm.
does this thing that's happening or keep happening with this family member want me to know that I don't know? What is the intelligent message here? And then it might take a very small period of time to receive the insights for that. Or it might take the rest of your life, because there are one or two things that we all come in with that we say, this is going to be my theme for this life, and it will constantly support me in evolving my soul. So
Wow.
those triggers may or may not fall into that category, but just know, if it doesn't go away, in the flick of a light switch, it doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. You're not wounded. You're not irreparably broken. You're just following your breadcrumbs for the sole purpose of becoming more.
I love this. And so I love that you said there's a gold nugget, and I truly believe in that. And so, a lot of times when people are having that triggered moment with another human, and that person thinks they're right, and this person thinks they're right, and they're
Yes.
going at it to define who's right, and why can't you see my point of view, and don't you empathize with me, and can't you understand, and
So
where's
let
my
me have you stop
apology?
right there. Let me have you stop right
Yes.
there, because this is an
Uh-huh.
important thing to insert. All of that comes from our head. It comes from our
Ego.
human mind, our lower human mind, our ego
Yeah.
self.
Mm-hmm.
One of the reasons there's so much division in the world is because it's a projection on behalf of the collective consciousness in order to get our attention to the division in us. And the primary division in us is the division between our head and our heart.
Mm-hmm.
But when we bring those two together, and that's the practice, it's one of the core practices. When we bring those two together, and we invite that heart-based part of ourselves into a triggered moment, there's no more tug of war. There's no more, I'm right, he's right, she's wrong, none of that. None of that. It changes the energetics of
Mm-hmm.
the trigger, right? And it opens up ways to explore, so that there doesn't have to be right and wrong, but that there can be something more for everybody involved.
And it probably comes back to some sort of love. Like if you
Well,
can
everything
feel,
is love. The entire fabric
yes,
of the universe is love. We
yes.
said on a soul level, drop me into that matrix, drop me
Mm-hmm.
into that shit show, that cultural programmed belief, scenario. And I will find the cheese, and the cheese is love, right? The cheese is that, oh, I'm the instrument of that energy. I'm the one, the vessel, to let all of that flow into every crack and crevice of not only my life, but everything I'm engaging with.
I love this because what it does is it empowers you. It gives you back your own power over yourself, which is all you have anyway. So you now are in control of your mindset about how you're going to react. You don't have to be triggered. You don't have to
I got to stop
demand
you
that
there.
you're.
I got to stop you there.
Mhm.
You're 100% right. And I'd like to change those words, control of your mindset, because
Okay.
our higher presence does not seek control.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Our higher presence seeks connection, and our higher presence seeks, mental calm,
Yes.
emotional calm, and then from there, letting whatever is the right wording to, even maybe it's to say nothing, whatever the right thing is in that moment, to be guided by that higher wisdom. And that's a little bit more, and that's deeper, wider, and stronger than mental control.
Yes. Yes. Wrong choice of words,
No,
but
no,
I
no, I know,
absolutely,
but it's
yes,
important to make the distinctions,
it
because this is the
is.
level of
It
energy
is.
that we're playing at
Mhm.
now. So we have to
Yes.
be clear. Yeah.
And to bring that in and be open and abundant to that, and realize that it is giving us an opportunity to grow and expand our own ability to love ourselves more and love others more. And the
Exactly.
valuable lesson is there in that gold nugget. So even in the moment you feel that trigger, it's actually a gift, because if you come at it from a different angle, it's allowing you to grow and expand in a more spiritually, energetically connected way. And without that trigger, you don't get a chance maybe to evolve. So we have to maybe put a look on it as a positive, that it's actually an opportunity
It
rather
is
than
an
a problem.
opportunity. And it's
Mhm.
also, like it isn't this, what we're talking about is not supposed to be the realm of the mind, because
Yes.
the mind is going to make it a problem. It's
Yeah,
going to
get in
make
the
it
way.
an issue. But if we can
Hmm.
learn to sink and to sink
Hmm.
into our, our embodied self and into our
Hmm.
heart, then that part of ourselves will show us, first and foremost, compassion for ourselves,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
Because if we're triggered, there's something, and it's usually not even the current situation. It's something that has been either something happened in our time in our life,
Yeah.
or we brought it in on our timeline and it's in our lineage or our DNA or ancestry. And if it is coming up for us, this is the part that I resisted years ago. If it's coming up for us, it's ready to be released. Otherwise, it wouldn't be presenting itself to our awareness. And it's not going to hurt us. We're afraid it's going to hurt us the way it originally did. So we resist it and we push against it, and we basically try to sweep it under the carpet or shove it in the closet and close the door, you know.
Yes.
But if it's coming up, it's ready. So this takes a lot of practice. And I started out practicing with when I would call customer service reps, and
Oh,
it was before Zoom and all that stuff. And I knew that it would be safe, and like I wouldn't crumble into nothingness if I spoke my truth on the phone to customer service people. And then I would do it in person, like to the grocery store clerk. And then it felt safer for me to say it to someone that I cared about, because we're really afraid to say it to people we care about because we're afraid of the consequences being dire. It's always a worst case scenario to the mind, to human mind, but it's
yeah.
never worst case scenario to the heart. But it doesn't mean we still don't have to talk our human mind off the ledge and say, sweetie, it's okay. This would not be coming up. I'm gonna go forward with this. I'm gonna do what I need to do. If you need to sit on the sidelines, that's okay, or you can come with me. But either way, I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna come back and show you that it's safe.
I really love this. And, it's so funny because sometimes the interviews, they really do have a life of their own. And I
Yes,
trust that. I trust that this is what we
me
are
too.
meant to talk about right now.
Yes, yeah.
People need to hear this. And I wanted to follow this up before we go forward a little bit more.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say that the person is becoming more evolved in that love space of the heart and being able to put the mind at bay so the ego's at rest and there's a trigger and the person is able to connect with the heart and the love and have new behavior patterns to what
Yes. It
normally they
creates new
wouldn't
brain
have.
tracks, 100%. Yeah.
So the this might come up for, I'm trying to think in advance why, where someone might have an objection, and this came up to me. So let's just pretend it's me. So I changed. Now I'm in love. I handle my trigger completely different. I love that I can get to a higher energy level. That's better for me. I think though that people might worry if that other person is still behaving badly. Let's just put it that way. That by not, I guess, how does someone say, um, they say you teach people how to treat you, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So
Right. Right. I love that. Yeah.
okay, so that person is still behaving badly, which feels disrespectful. And that person, me, others don't want to be disrespected. We've taken the high road. We've went into our heart. We're trying to get into better energy. But the other person is still someone that is maybe family that, we're going to
Yeah.
have an
I know what you're saying. I get what you're
how
saying.
do we deal with that when the other person doesn't change at all? And we're
Yeah.
like, well, I have self-respect and this person needs to respect
I,
me. And that's
I
not
get you.
happening.
Well, first of all, our our need to get respect is coming from the mind, because if we respect ourselves, first of all, when we change our own energy, it affects everything. So the
Okay.
relationship that we had prior to our change with, let's just use the one other person, will not be the same with our change. Now, if that person continues to, maybe that person needs a little time to realize, oh, this is no longer acceptable to her. That, and then they can make their adjustments or not, right?
Or
Like
not,
we
right?
cannot be
We
attached
don't
to that.
control
We
others.
we
Yeah.
can't. But we can speak our truths, and we can say things like, when we're centered, when we're dropped into our heart, when we're embodied, and when we're, being advised, if you will, by the higher intelligence, we will know what to say. And I used to be afraid of that. I used to think, oh, I'm going to be unloving, or I won't say it the right way, or, but then I realized that, that was just all my fear.
Yeah.
And when I let myself take a breath, take a pause, drop in, it is amazing, like freaking amazing what comes through, and it's perfect for the moment. So there aren't scripts for this. All there is dropping in, going to our still point of wholeness, truth, peace, love, wisdom, and power, not abusive power, not abdication of power, but right action, right activity for the moment.
Okay.
Then it is known what to do or not do, say or not say.
I'm so glad that we covered this. This is actually a conversation I've never had with anyone through all my interviews, and yet relationships for all of us are designed to be a part of our life from day one through the whole time. And we
Exactly,
need,
including business relationships
oh,
and how to
so much
cultivate
so.
it. Yeah, all
Right.
that, all
So I'm
relationships.
so glad there was a reason why we were meant to touch on this today. I trust that. And you have just answered that so beautifully. And your answer is going to give so many people the ability to understand that connection to their divine self, to drop in, even if all they have in that moment is a deep breath, maybe a count to three, get connected and
Yes.
react differently. Thank you. That's all I can say.
Yeah,
Thank you so
you're
much
welcome.
for.
And you just said it too, Tamara, our divine like the divine relation or the divine self. Is that how you said it?
Yeah.
That's the number one relationship to cultivate. That's the only relationship to put first, because every other relationship from that connected, sacred self center will be better as a result of it. But we've been taught to abandon that relationship in favor of everything external. But that's not what this is about. That we're being called at this point in collective consciousness to come back to center and tend to that sacred self. Everything is sacred anyway, and we're the ones missing the boat on that. So when we come back to center and tend to that relationship, everything else works.
Oh my goodness. Like, we could stop here. This is like gold, everything that you
It
just
is
said.
cold, and it
And
isn't
we just
mine.
started. Oh
Yes.
my goodness. Okay. You see, everybody, this is why I am so excited to share this interview with you today, because we haven't even gotten started. And I don't know about you, but it's sort of a mic drop moment right now, because I know you also are struggling with certain relationships in your life. You are, you're evolved, you're being your best self. And then there's certain people that show up that just seem to trigger you. We can't get away from it. It's part of the process, right? But this is sage advice that will now change your whole perspective and how you move forward. And yeah, your relationships are just improved because of Laurie. So if nothing else, check out her site for how to handle this. But I told you this is holistic. So now we're going to go into a little bit more. Laurie's going to tell us a little bit more about the other parts of her work in which she can help you, and then where you can find her. And then we'll get into some success questions. I know that was like
Freudian
a
slip.
Freudian slip, right?
That's funny. Well, the creative life force, this life force that we're talking about,
And we're just talking about relationships. So I don't
oh
know,
yeah, there it is. There it is. Yeah. So one of my favorite acronyms, and this just dropped in from Spirit, like I don't even know, let's say 30 years ago, is HEAL. And it's an acronym for health, empowerment, abundance, and love. And that is our divine design. Actually, I've written 2 books, and I'm working on the 3rd book right now, which is the how to cultivate. I can't even remember the title now. Something about the divine design. It's the working title. And so every aspect of our being is designed to heal. Here's the cool thing. We have 70, we're a human experience, right? Right at this point, right? We have 70 trillion cells in this human body. All 70 trillions of those cells have 70 trillion atoms, and every one of those atoms is coded for this wholeness, for this health, empowerment, abundance, and love. It already exists in every single one of us. Our job is to peel back, if you will, the layers of programming and traumas and beliefs and stories and cultural norms that have covered the truth of our being, right? And this is the true meaning of holistic, if you will, right? Is to consciously choose to make a decision. Yes, I am going to walk myself into my wholeness, however imperfect. We're not talking about perfection here. We're talking about wholeness. and I'm going to allow the fullness of my sacredness, my divine design for this life, because everybody has it. And that's not destiny or fate or any, it's just more like we're all designed to be whole and healthy. We're all designed to be empowered and at ease. We're all designed to be abundant. We're all designed to be in exchange with with love, which is all of life, which is,
Yeah.
every aspect of life anyway. So a lot of people, because of our we live in a cultural current of disease and disharmony and the opposite of everything we just said, right? So it takes a bit of a journey to, and I recommend that every listener put themselves on this journey to walk. It's a sacred journey, right? And it's why I have an online academy called the Sacred Health Academy, because we go through all of this. And if you want to have more information about that, then you can go to createtohealstudio.com. I say create because even though I am an artist, I wasn't always. In my 20s, I drew a teapot and it came out terrible and I threw it in the closet. And I promptly determined that I was not creative or artistic. But then later I learned, oh, that's not true. Okay, sure, there are some artistic prodigies that show up, but everyone is creative and we have to cultivate it. Just like we're talking about cultivating the relationship with our divine self. Everything
Absolutely.
is calling to us to cultivate it if it matters to you, right? Like everyone gets to choose on the big buffet of life. So then I did start cultivating this artistic, just this creative experience, right? And I realized, oh, the creative life force is the same thing as the major life force, the big life force. And here's the cool thing. We've already said this. Every particle and wave of life is this life force. It's a presence of life. It's light, and light carries love, which is how we know that the entire fabric of the universe is love, including us. We can't not be. It's impossible for us not to be. So then we have to say, well, then why am I not expressing that in my life? Well, it's because of the reasons that we've talked about. It's like, oh, when something comes up, when a trigger comes up, or when I see something on the news that just makes my heart break, that is my work in that moment energetically, to return that energy to life, to return that energy to the love that it originally is, that got what's the word I'm looking for, that became
Interrupted.
discordant,
Mhm.
that became discord energy, or energy that isn't lined up with life. And that's, it's just your job to do your work and my job to do my work. I mean, things that will trigger me may not trigger you, and vice versa. And you don't have to worry about mine. I only have to worry about mine,
Right.
So to answer your question, I sort of forgot what the question was.
Yes. No, I was just talking about your other holistic abilities and helping
Oh,
beyond relationships. And
got it.
then yes, like the health, and but everything you're saying, it's all intertwined.
It
It's
is.
all one. And
Exactly. And so Chinese medicine has informed me greatly, right? Like this is the path I'm on, because there's a way of understanding how our bodies, minds, and lives work, through this path of Chinese medicine. It's also called the Tao, if anyone, and all the paths are the same. This is the cool thing. It's a different spoke in the same wheel, and it all leads to the same center, which is this idea that we're talking about, which is, we all have a true nature, which is love. And
yeah,
it's carried by light in this physical experience. And so, what is under that umbrella of the Sacred Health Academy, of Chinese medicine, of turning to our creative life force to help us walk this path that becomes more of a sacred thing towards wholeness. It's everything, right? It's nutrition, it's movement, it's healing disharmony in the body, it's hormonal balance.
yeah.
It's what do we do when energy comes up? We just touched on it here, but there's energy that we have qualified in ways that are not serving to us, and that's dense energy. How do we turn that dense energy in our being into light energy, which is our true nature, right? All of that is, I mean, the Sacred Health Academy is so packed.
It's
you know
comprehensive.
it's very
Absolutely.
comprehensive, and people just do what they do. You can do it at any pace that is,
Yes.
works for you, because, some people have more time than others, and it doesn't matter, because it's a one foot in front of the other. There are realizations and insights and inspirations that pop in just by being on the journey.
I love it. And basically it is Everything comes back to love. Energy is light, love, and the fact that we have to really take care of ourselves first and do the best that we can to bring that light, that good energy, that love to us, because then we're a benefit to ourselves, and then of course we are a benefit to all that is
All of
around
life.
us. And so
And you want
this
to
is
hear something interesting? What you just
Mhm.
said is 100% true, and it made me think. This life force that we have that make up our arms and legs and organs and
Yeah.
everything that we, consider to be our body, it's not even ours. It's on loan
Mhm.
to us,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
So if
That's
you
right.
borrowed a book from a library or borrowed your friend's car or, something, you don't like, you don't you don't cause harm to that and to that thing that you've borrowed. No, you take care of it and you return it in the best shape possible, even better if you can.
Yes, yes.
This is our life force, and nobody teaches us this, right? Nobody teaches us to be that considerate of the
Yeah.
life force that is us and
Yes.
respectful, right?
I love that. And
And
yes, and we need to.
yeah, only our higher presence can teach us how to do that. No offense, but a lot of the self-love stuff I see and, taking baths and getting nails done, there's nothing wrong with that. Please don't
Right.
hear that.
Part of that, yeah.
But that is an external cultivation. And what we're talking about here, you and I, Tamara, is about the internal cultivation that has been left out of the picture
Mm,
and can't be any longer.
absolutely. But even still, like even like, let's say baths or get a pedicure or get a massage, though those are external, it is the internal part is the permission we're giving ourselves of
You're
letting
right.
ourselves love ourselves. So
You're
like
right.
that has to come first. We have to first say yes to our internal self, that we're
100%.
worthy and deserve it, and then that external shows up. And so it is actually a beautiful, deep thing, because so many people deny themselves. Oh, I'll
You're
take care of
right.
everybody else. It's about the kids. It's about my husband. It's about the house. It's about my friend. I'll leave
My
myself
business is
last.
calling me 24/7. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yes, exactly. And so for someone that is, let's just say, never even, let's just say, booked a massage for themselves, though it seems external, this is a huge, huge yes to themselves.
You're
And
right.
that
You're
is
100% right.
gigantic. And so,
Yes.
like, that's why I think it's such an internal thing. And then, and then you build on it. And so, like, even with, like, with my company, I always say, like, do one little wealthy woman activity every single day. It could be cleaning out your makeup drawer because you deserve a nice tidy space. It could be do your own pedicure. It could be, pet an animal. It's just something, where you're doing something that you normally wouldn't do. So you're training yourself to say yes to yourself. I am worthy. I deserve this. And then you get into a new habit where you start saying yes, because some of us are very comfortable doing that, but others wouldn't even think about taking care of themselves, and they deserve it so much more than probably many of us. Right. And so it's that
Right. Well,
idea.
it's such a good point you're bringing up because this falls under the umbrella, if you will, of keeping our own cup full first.
Yes, exactly.
We
We're
can
oxygen
only
on the plane.
give from the
Mhm.
overflow, and most
That's
many,
it. That's it.
women are scraping the bottom of the barrel, trying to give from that bottomless pit of nothingness, and it's like, and then we get, bitter. We get
Yeah.
frustrated and not happy, right?
Yeah, or resentful. Like I
Or
do
that's
everything.
the word, not, yeah, I was looking for
Yeah,
resentful, not bitter. And so the practice, just like
yeah.
you said, of keeping our own cups full first, and just make sure that it's not the massage that keeps your cup full, it's the permission. You just said it. It's the
Mhm.
permission that you give yourself to be
Yeah.
in a honorable exchange with your higher self. And
Yes. Yes.
in this case, it's the massage. Just
Yeah.
it's important to not confuse the external thing for the internal touchstone. Like the external thing is the
Absolutely.
touchstone for the internal piece. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I know what you meant by that. Like a lot of
Yeah.
people, let's just there's a certain amount of people out there that are showing off all the bling 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 just to get an ego. But that is not what we're talking about. We're talking
No.
about centered, beautiful love energy of self healing and self love, so we can do better in the world for ourselves and others. But not show off stuff. You know,
No, no, it's not that
so
at
like
all. And
this,
the other thing I was going to
exactly.
say is, yeah, is that I had to just really work this out in my mind. And I had to do it multiple times before now it's not a question, which is, okay, I have this higher presence. Oh, I put my hand up and
I was
doing it.
wondering what happened there.
It's just because Zoom recognizes the raise,
Yes.
I'm using yeah. Anyway, my higher self, the only reason I'm here is because my higher presence extends itself as these molecules and atoms and cells that make up this physical body. It's true for everyone. And that part of me, which is way more than the physical part. There are some percentages that say we're 96% non-physical, 4% physical.
Mhm.
And we ignore the 96%. We're just like narrowly focused on this physical part, right? That part of me, you, everyone, extends itself as this physical body, and it's already whole. It's already deserving. It's already worthy. It's already enough.
It's
There
just
is no
about come back into,
question.
yes,
Yeah,
coming
there's
back to
no
self.
question. Exactly.
Yeah.
There's no question
Mhm.
in that
Yeah.
element, that part of ourselves about worthiness, deservedness, any of that. So if you
Recognizing it.
feel undeserving and you need to give yourself permission for something, give yourself permission to connect to
Yeah.
that part of yourself
Mhm.
so that you can invite. I see it like a waterfall of light
Yeah.
that comes from the heart of my higher presence to my own heart, and it
Yes.
flows through the top of my head and it lands in my heart. And it's like the most soothing personal medicine I have ever experienced on every level. And that's where deservedness, worthiness, and enoughness comes from.
Oh, I tell you, I love this. This is so good. We totally went in a totally different direction, but it is absolutely beautiful what we're communicating
What's
about. I
hatching?
mean,
Yeah, what's coming out?
yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so I will get into a couple. We might not get through all of them, but I'll get into a couple good success questions,
Sure.
and then this will be inspirational for those listening. And then, yeah. So let's see. I just wanted to ask you, um, let's. What's the first one? If you could choose, I always like this question. If you could choose one way that building your business has been empowering to you, what is that number one way it has enriched you and empowered you? And why would you suggest other women to continue on their journey to following their dream and building their business?
Yep. And there's not a hesitation in me because that one way, and I've used it for decades, is partnering with my higher self. Like
Yes.
that
Mhm.
part of me is the chief operating officer.
Love
And
that.
what's the word when you're having, have conferences with her all the time.
Yes.
And
Board meetings.
yes. And I ask like,
Mhm.
what would be the best way? And sometimes it's like, really? All right, well, let's go with that. And it's brilliant, and
Yes.
I never would have thought of it in my own head. In my head is so limited. Here's what we know about our head. If our head could heal us, if our head could make our business more successful, if our head could do any of the things that we wished, she would have done it by now. She does not know
Mm.
how. It is
Mm.
not her purview. It is
Mm.
it is the realm of our higher self, our higher presence, our sacred self, our divine heart, whatever word you want to put to it, source, the universe, as long as it's both personal and,
Yes.
universal, however you call that, whatever you call that, but call it you must. And I really encourage you to invite that part of yourself into your business and, you know, hold hands and do it all together.
I
That
love that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that part of myself is my marketing guru. I mean, I just say, bring me X number of clients. I don't have time to do it all. This is true for a lot of us business women. Ask for what you want and be clear about it from this higher part of yourself. Practice trusting it more than doubting it, and
Mhm.
watch what happens.
I love this. And also a key takeaway in what you just said is to any of us that find our own selves running into the same wall and not, of course, getting different results. That
Yes,
is a clue that you are disconnected from your spiritual self. So if
big
you're
clue.
noticing that you keep hitting the same wall, stop. Just go sit on a meditation mat and get centered and really get in touch with yourself. So I love that because there's a couple things we're pointing out here that women can catch themselves right away and say, "Oh, okay, there's nothing wrong with me. I just need to reconnect to my spiritual self side instead of my head side, my mental side, my ego side." Whether it's people triggering you or the fact if you're doing something in your life and you just keep not getting the result you want and you
Yes.
hit the wall the same way, this is a time to get centered. So I love this because this
Great
can,
advice. Yeah,
yeah, and it really makes
really
the
good.
journey so much more better. And what you originally said in the very beginning, you said basically building your own business is the greatest education way that you'll get to know yourself
Yeah,
in such an extreme way. And this is part of it. So those moments that
definitely.
we feel like are negatives, there's a gold nugget in that, and the gold nugget is typically going to reveal itself when you get centered and spiritually guided to your own higher self and your energy. So love it.
Can I insert one thing there, because
Of
what you just
course.
said is so important. It's foundational. And a lot of women will say, well, but I have tried that and it doesn't seem to work. And, I don't get the results I'm looking for or whatever. On the website, create2healstudio.com, at the bottom, there's a free 5-day energy kickstart. I recommend with every cell of my being that you go grab that, because it will take you through 5 days, just 15 or 20 minutes a day, but it will set your foundation for you of what it means to the power of grounding, the power of connecting, the power of breath, the power of being embodied, and the power of purpose. And when you put all those together, you have a very strong foundation, and you have like tools from which to do what Tamara just said to do when you keep hitting up against a wall. Because if you keep hitting up against a wall and the tools haven't helped you get beyond that, you need better tools.
Yes. There you
You need
go.
more foundational oomph, if you will. So go get that kickstart, because it will teach you everything.
I love this. I really do. Okay, fantastic. Okay, so let's see. I think we covered this one. We were basically, his question is about what practices do you suggest for getting in touch with your soulful side of yourself? I think we're good. And then, so I wanted to ask you though, specifically for yourself, I call them the wealthy woman
Yes.
routines that we have, morning
Yes.
routines, could be evening, whatever. What
Can't
is
live without them. Yeah.
right? What do you do every day to set yourself on the course to success?
Yes, these are non-negotiables for me,
Mm-hmm.
right? So they are absolutely, they show up every single day, no matter what, right? I plan flights around them. Like, I will not give this up, right?
Oh, I love this. This
So
is conviction. I love this.
it's devoted. I have learned, well, the devotion has just grown over time since, anyway. So when I get up, and after, I won't bore you with the details of going to the bathroom and feeding my cats and emptying the cat box and all that. Once I get myself, past all that, I have a back door, and I don't like to sit anymore to meditate. I feel like the energy moves better when I'm standing. So I have
Hmm.
this, it's probably about it depends on how much time I have, but a 30 to 45 minute devotion. And it's a combination of meditation and prayer and, clear intention for the day. And I do not miss that. And what the Kickstart will give you is a portion of what I do, because I know that when I ground into Mother Earth, when I connect into the source of life, and then I
Hmm.
invite that energy into me and I drop into my body, it's called being embodied, and I
Hmm.
look for whatever needs to be smoothed out or loved or accepted or forgiven, or, or elevated, or whatever the need of the moment is. And when I'm in that space, the the what I need to do comes very quickly into my mind. It's good to do this kind of thing in the morning, because after the day gets going, we get cluttered in our mind and our
Yeah.
in our
Hmm.
body. So the setup in the morning, have found personally to be exquisitely vital. And then I get very, very clear about how I want the energy. This is my energy management practice, how I want the energy to unfold in my day. And you will be surprised. We are not at the whims of our mind. We are not at the whims of other people. The only whim we're at the mercy of is our own center, right? And so the more we center and align and cultivate that, um,
Yeah.
those whims turn to magic.
Yes. It's like you get to design your day, your life,
Yes.
your forward movement.
Yes.
That I
Yeah.
love this.
And there's two more things.
Mhm.
I am non-negotiable on the food I eat, because I know that nourishes me at varying levels, and I eat very, very healthy. So that's non-negotiable. And the second one is the other one is movement. I
Movement.
move every morning. I'm a big fan of stretching. I could talk till midnight about the values of it. Won't do that because that'll be boring for most people. But just some some kind of movement that I like, and if you don't know what you like, then explore, ask your heart to show you, like, what would we love doing? Do we want to put on a, YouTube video and dance? What do we want to do? It doesn't have, we don't have to go to a gym. We don't have to do the things that everyone else thinks.
Right.
I finally set myself free. You used that word earlier, freedom. I set myself free. I gave myself permission, because you use that word too, to explore what I like. You know,
Yes.
that is
Mhm.
what sticks. If I'm doing something I don't like, it's not going to stick. So,
Yes. Yes. I love that. And that's what I do. If it's your business, do a business that makes you happy, that
and
it's
do it the
kind
way
of
you want to
for
do
free.
it.
Right.
Yes,
And do it the way you
exactly.
want to do it. The same with your fitness, the same with how you eat, the same with how you design your home, your life, your friendships, all of it. You are in control of designing it and making it uplift you. And then when you're uplifted, you'll just uplift others. So yeah, this is fantastic.
And not
Um,
only, like, a lot of women, tell me if you agree with this. A lot of women think that they don't, like, really, can I do that? Do I really have what it
mhm.
takes, or permission, or am I good enough to design my life? Do I have the balls to do that? I mean, I'm using, do I have the boobs to do that? Whatever. It's like, yes, not
Yes.
only are we supposed to, it's our job.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And I mean, that's why, like, I have my the Wealthy Woman Club Society, and basically it's not open at the moment, but the general idea of that is to get women in that mode of giving themselves that permission, and those
Yes.
little things I was talking about. There's like a theme of the day. They can design whatever they want, and do other things. But the idea is to give themselves permission to do one good thing that makes them feel
Yes.
elevated, that
And it builds
they're
the habit. Yes, I love that.
exactly. And then it can get bigger and bigger and bigger, because you know you don't know until you know, and you will only know by doing a little bit at a time, and kind of
Exactly.
gradually stepping it up, and then all of a sudden you'll be like, wow, let me get out of my own way, and it
Exactly.
becomes easier.
That
Yes.
feels
And
good, and it feels right,
does.
and it makes my world work better. And, like, we just have to prove that to ourselves. And really what we're proving it to
Exactly.
is our mind, because our heart and body already know, but
Yeah.
we got to get our mind on board with it.
Yes, yes. Here's one for you. I am looking forward to your answer on this. So how do you deal? It could be any type of fear. How do you deal with fear and doubt?
Yeah. Okay. So I should tell you that when I was in my 20s, I went to a healer, and it was two, it was a husband and wife, and they kind of backed up. I was on this, like, table thing in their room, and they said, "Boy, you have got a lot of fear." And I knew that. I mean, I woke up
Mhm,
every morning
mhm,
in panic, just like
mhm,
so afraid. And they said, "You brought it in through your lineage, and your mom has a lot of fear, and your grandma has a lot of fear." And they weren't wrong. I know my mom has that. And so I set to exploring what to do about that, right? And I started out back in the 80s doing a course in miracles, because it teaches very pointedly that there's only fear or love. And if you don't choose love, then you will have fear. And I thought, oh shit.
Yes.
Now I get it. And I just kept practicing over and over and over. It was really not an easy one to overcome, because honestly, every human being, and then I subsequently learned this later, that every human being, when we're awakening, when we're
Mhm,
ascending ourselves into our true higher self, which is what we're all actually doing, whether you know that or not. And it takes light to do that, and life force, right? And
mhm.
connection. We can't do it without any of those things. That when we do that, we have to walk through two doors. One door is fear, and the other door is doubt. And so those are practices. And most of us, I mean, of course, our culture teaches us to just crumble in the face of those things,
Mhm.
not to rise and summon and then receive whatever it takes to walk through those doors, whether it's courage or confidence, or, just the ability to take a next step,
Mhm.
and to appreciate and accept and forgive and have compassion for ourselves the whole time we're doing that, because that's how we fall in love with ourselves.
Yes,
Not,
yes,
no offense again to the manicures and the baths. I don't mean to beat up on those, but that isn't the portal. The
yeah,
portal is compassion. And then from a compassionate, loving place and accepting place of ourselves, we get to have the most delicious bath there ever was, you know?
yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I love it. The whole journey really is about assuming that we don't have enough, and then the journey is realizing we're more than enough, right? And like,
Exactly,
why didn't we
exactly.
realize it sooner and give ourselves credit? But that's part of the journey too. And
Yeah,
that's one of the most beautiful things, especially also about creating the business part of it, because this, this is
exactly.
our little beautiful creation that we get to really design and see the fruits of our labor for. And the fruits of our
Exactly.
labor are many different things. Money, sure, freedom, creative expression,
Expression,
helping
100%.
transform
Yes.
others,
Impact in the
servitude.
world. Yes.
Yeah, it's such
Employing
a
people.
beautiful thing.
It's a
Yes,
beautiful thing. And
yes.
let me just say one more thing as a
Mhm.
follow-up. I mentioned the Course in Miracles, which was a channel
Yes,
body of work in the 1970s when
yes.
masculine energy was still dominant.
Mhm.
The reason why, and it was a pretty analytical, intellectual body
Yes,
of work. Nothing wrong with it. I love it. I will always be grateful to it, but it's different now.
yeah.
Here we are, what is it, 50 years later. And
Mhm.
now the feminine energy has come in to be in balance and harmony with the masculine energy. And I personally have found that I needed a different connection to that
Mhm.
energy so that I could find that harmony and balance in my own heart. And I
Yeah,
asked for it, 7, 8 years
yeah,
ago. I asked the divine feminine. I said, I need to know you. I need to know the feminine face of God.
yeah.
We get
Mhm.
shoved down our throat the masculine face of God
Yeah.
for centuries,
Mhm.
right? And I know, and I can say this to everyone listening and to you, when I ask something of my heart, I always get
Trust.
an answer. Yeah.
Yeah.
It may not be right then, but it will come. And then I will
Always.
know, oh, that is the answer to this question, this inquiry that I held in my heart with grace and
Mhm.
love. But right now on the planet where we are in humanity's evolution is that we need to find our way to the balance of the masculine and the feminine. And
Yeah.
because we're in a Western world and we've done a lot of Western analytical, left brain based stuff, we really have to counterbalance it with the right brain based stuff. And it's safe. It is
Yeah.
100% safe. And this is one of my specialties.
Yes. Fantastic. Okay, my final question. Are you ready?
Okay, I'm ready. Yeah.
Okay. How do you how do you define success, and what does that look like in a day in your life?
So success to me is having my world, my days, my moments set up where I can literally palpably feel and know and experience myself in connection with my higher presence.
Mhm.
And that I'm
Mhm.
drawing that energy down, I'm anchoring it into earth, and I'm infusing it into everything I'm doing. When I lose track of that, I do not consider that to be successful. And what I've learned, what that devotion has taught me is that success is a byproduct of that connection. And all the ways that we think success comes from in an external way, it may not, I mean, it may be so. I'm not negating any of it, but for me, I've tried all those. And what I have found, I'm 62, so it's like I've had some time to play with, all the ways. And what I have personally found is that when I tend to that ever important connection, then the success automatically comes. And so my day, like you might have noticed, I drink a lot of tea. And
Mhm.
if you grab that 5-day energy increase experience, that's what I do every time I go to the bathroom. And because I drink a lot of tea, I do have to go to the bathroom a lot. So I just set that up all day long so that there are less and less pockets of time where I'm disconnected and reeling in my mind and,
Yeah.
you know,
Mhm.
worrying and trying to do it myself, without my business partner and meaning my higher self. And that's what I determined to be a success, because that is what causes success. And
Yes.
even more so now and moving forward as the energies are shifting on the planet.
Yes, and I like that your morning routine just basically is deeply connected to the success of your day. Like
Yes,
that you set
there
it
is
up,
no disconnection between that morning routine and the success of my day. You're right.
and then at the end of the day you realize, okay, so that importance of having a habit that supports your success is so vital. And of course, I think most of us do believe that setting it up in the morning or early
As
day
early as
is
possible in the
important.
day. Yeah,
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 before the whole world gets involved. But
yeah.
thank you so much. This has been such a beautiful, deep, heartfelt evolved interview. I really love it. I cannot wait to get it out there. So one more time, tell everyone where they can find you. And then, yeah, that's,
Yeah.
then we'll
So
set it up.
create to heal studio.com. And you can pretty much find everything on there. You can find the Sacred Health Academy on the homepage. At the bottom is the link to grab the 5-day energy increase kickstart, which is foundational to every human being, bar none.
Yeah,
Just let me reiterate, even if you're, sort of a more advanced spiritual person, these are the foundational basics that I find most women forget. And then when they go back and revisit, it's like, oh, right, of course, I'm never leaving this again. And if you're
perfect.
newer, then start there. So it's
Yeah,
like, you won't be getting in, you'll be cultivating good habits from the beginning.
love it.
Yeah. So create2healstudio.com. That's where all the goods are.
Thank you so much, Laurie. This is beautiful. And, as I always tell all of you wealthy women out there, you're already wealthy. You just have to reconnect with that wealth that's already inside of yourself. And this interview is so supportive of that basically. Be open to receiving what you already are. Just, it's about recognizing who you already are, not something that you have to try and be. You already are perfect in
And
that
that's the
perfect
only way we
spirit.
magnetize wealth anyway. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So, all right, wealthy women, until next time, I wish you all of the best. Keep going for your dreams and keep listening to these beautiful success stories, because we're all on a journey to being our best selves and serving the world as best as we can, and let these serve as inspirations to you. So, until next time, signing off for now. Bye-bye.